what do you have there? And she would sell the book, and she would get something for the book. She'd get the value of what the book cost and what it was meant to be, and she would then go out and buy us a meal outside of the hospital meal. She'd go out and buy me whatever I wanted. I could, whether it be Chinese food, whether it be a sandwich of hoagie or whatever the case may be, whatever I wanted. Some chicken. We've had all kinds of things. Every time she'd buy a book, she would share the profit of the book with us.
Yeah.
Now, she could have said, well, let me put this on a bill. Let me do. No, she didn't do it that way. She shared with us. We were there all the time. She didn't have a bed. She sat in a chair. You know, because there was they didn't accommodate. It was a rehab center. So it wasn't even a hospital. It was a rehabilitation center. So there was no accommodation for the spouse. They didn't tell her to leave because if she was comfortable with how she was sleeping and what she was doing, she stayed the whole time. She didn't even intend to initially. But she said, you know, I don't want to leave you here. I just feel more comfortable. I feel more comfortable in myself being here with you. I just feel better being here with you. We're in this together, and so let me just stay. And it was over 7 days. It was 8 days to be exact. That we were there every day, all day. She made sure that I was taken care of by the nurses and the technicians and even the doctors that were there. She'd ask questions that I wouldn't ask or didn't think about asking about. She would intercede. So it was a shared thing, and that's how I viewed it. When I would get something, like she said, I would share it with her. It wasn't just me getting food. I mean, she's sitting up there. I'm going to let her not eat from breakfast, lunch, and dinner. It doesn't matter. When I got something to eat, that meant she automatically got something to eat too. You know, and sometimes we would just share it. We would just split it up. Or sometimes I would just give her that thing that she liked of the meal that I wasn't particularly crazy about, but I would have eaten it, but she liked it. So here's the whole thing. And the same with her. Here's the whole thing. Not this share. She'd go down to the cafeteria in the rehab, and she would get this plates and plates of food. When she would get her little blessings, she would make sure that I ate a nice meal that time, not just a shared meal or my own meal.
Or hospital food that sometimes will come up, you know, cold.
Right.
Missing items.
Right. And
then
they would start to trying to give me less of this, and they couldn't use salt and this and that, and they would leave out something, or I'd order something and they ran out of it, so they gave me a substitute, which I didn't like at all, a meal that I didn't like. My wife would find a way. And God, because of how we were, those are the times the book would sell. The times that neither one of us wanted to eat that meal because we didn't like that
and we didn't have any money.
And we didn't have any money. We'd either have to eat it or just not eat nothing at all. And then we had my mother who'd come with her little care package. She'd come with crackers and other things, candies that she knew we liked, and other little things that she knew we liked, the little juices and things like that carried us over for the snack part, all that kind of thing. It was God. But it was our love toward each other that brought the blessing into our lives. If we would have went there, her selfish, me selfish, and all this type of thing, not caring about one another, he would not have showered us with blessings in his favor. But because we were loving toward each other and we moved as one, and in that situation, God moved in his way.
And what else happened? We were able to minister to one of the head nurses. There.
Yes.
Because she saw our interaction, and then I told her about the book, and she purchased the book, and she actually sat there and was crying because she said she was recently going through in her marriage, and she needed counseling.
Right.
And my husband was able to counsel her, and she was able to read the book,
which helped her and strengthened her and her resolve. And she really began. She came back to us and said she started to apply the lessons that she learned in the book that my wife had written, and her marriage was starting to gain a new enthusiasm and a new positive direction that it never had before. Not in many years. And not just her, but many of them came. I know there were some administrators that came that purchased the book. There was an administrator in particular that came and purchased the book, and she came back and she shared how she really enjoyed the book. In fact, she purchased a book for another friend of hers, not just her, but she purchased another book because it was so much of a blessing for her that she wanted to share that blessing with a friend of hers. And so, we just don't know just why God places us in certain situations. But when he does place us in those situations, good, bad, or in between, we have to show the love of God and the love for one another in the situation. And when people see that, they will begin to respond to it in the positive way that it was meant to be.
Because they can tell genuine.
Oh, yes, they can tell genuine.
Versus, non-genuous. They can really tell. And we were able to be a witness in the hospital, which the bottom line is, but it's because we were on the same page, we were on one accord, you know, and it makes a difference when you come together in unity. The scripture says, what is that, Psalm 133? When you come together in unity, God commands the blessing.
Exactly.
God commands the blessing, but you got to come. He can't be over there with his own agenda and me over here with my own agenda and think that everything's going to be okay. We have to be on the same page. And at some point, you just have to sit down and ask yourself, are me and my husband on the same page? And for a while, we weren't on the same page.
And those are the times I'll say, and I'm looking back at it now, and it's really reflecting on me, the Holy Spirit speaking to me now. And those are the times that we had challenges in our marriage. I think that even with the fall and how things went with that, I think some of that could have been avoided. I think that God's mercy would have stepped in and maybe touched the landlord's heart. If our hearts had been touched. If there was a different attitude toward the thing. God has a way of making it right. You see, God has a way, if you're not right with him, if you're not doing the right thing, either one of you or both of you are not doing the right thing, it's nothing good's going to come out of it. How can it? You're not obeying God. You're not yielding to how God said it should be. And yet you want God to come in like the knight in shining armor or the Calvary and save you in the end.
Fix it, God.
Yeah, fix it, Lord. I ain't fixing nothing.
Fix it.
I ain't gonna fix nothing. I'm gonna stay the way I am. Hey, that's just who I am. And all. But you know, but I want you to be.
Fix it.
You know, this and that. You know, it doesn't work like that. And so we had to go through. We had to go through. But in that, see, I'm gonna tell you how God works. Because we were God's and we were really his. A lot of things began to change. In fact, everything began to change. Wasn't an abracadabra, wasn't no magic wand, and everything changed because we were tossed out and we were in the street. So now it was going to be great love. No, but there was glimpses of things that God could begin to tap into. There were times that I told my wife, just to leave. You know, family members saying, oh, come on, live with us. You can stay with us. You can do this. But I couldn't do it because they had houses that had steps. And at that time, I'd just fallen. There was no way I could have even attempted to climb a stair, let alone climb one. So that disqualified me automatically. There were times that I could have gone into a senior citizen. I was in my 50s. She was still in her 40s. They wouldn't allow her to come into the apartment complex because of her age. So, but I wasn't going to go no place without her.
Because I was young.
You know, but it was a shared thing. But because we had to stay a little while longer in these situations together. And because God saw the commitment together, he began to move. And did it change automatically? Did we become like one in every instance? Of course not. There still were bickerings. There still were dissensions. But you can begin to see the glimpses of a light at the end of the dark tunnel. There was a glimmer of light. And as time went on,
we bicker now.
Oh, yeah.
It's just different.
Yeah, we did.
I don't go for the juggler. And quiet as it's kept, he know how to get you without going into rah-rah. I'm rah-rah. He's not. I used to be rah-rah. He's never been rah-rah. He knows how to get you. Okay? Without being all of that. He knows. He just has to say a few words. And he knows what to do. But we don't have to do that anymore. We don't do that anymore. We do bicker. And that's what we call it. It's not arguing. Mm-hmm. We actually just bicker. You know, we might say a couple of things here and there. But it's not like before. We used to just go all, you know, I used to be the one. He'd never been an arguer. So, but I was the type of person like, look, I'm upset. I'm going to argue with you and you're going to listen. You're going to listen.
That's very true.
And he would leave out the room and I'd follow him. Kind of craziness that was going on back then. But we don't do that now.
No.
So if something's wrong, we just say what we say and we keep it moving. Right. We usually are open about what's going on and we say, you know, well, this was wrong or whatever, and then we get it straight.
And then in my part, I let her know how I feel about things more, and I do it in a way that I let you know that she, you know, and a lot of times that helps too because you know I let her know I don't like that. I like what you said to me.
Yeah, he said like, sometimes you think you know everything.
You know, but I'm going to tell you something. One thing that I always did, and now she's adopting it. For a minute, you have to move away from it. Because you're going to keep getting deeper, you're going to dig it deeper, you're going to stab more, you're going to get ugly more, your words are going to be more venomous, you want to tit for tat, and I'm going to one-up you, and you said this, I'm going to come back and say something even more devastating than what you just said, and it goes on and on and on, and there's no resolution, and then the hostility and the resentment deepens instead of lessens. So sometimes you have to move away. What she does now is what I used to do, and I still do. She'll go to her room.
And that's how I say we're becoming more and more one, because, and when you become one, you start taking on the characteristics of your spouse. You really do, more than you know.
Yeah. That's true.
And so I see what you're saying. Like, you know, she'll walk away now. Where there was a point where you couldn't pay me to walk away.
Right.
And now it's like, no, look, everybody, let me just tell y'all something. I'm 51 years old. Okay, he about to be 64 on November the 7th. We're too old for this dumb stuff. Okay, let's just say that. We're just too old for the childishness. We've been in this too long. We've been in this marriage for almost 16 years. November the 7th will be 16 years. We've been in this too long to keep dealing with the same foolishness over and over again. At some point, there should be growth in the marriage. We shouldn't be falling back and doing the same stuff that we was doing 16 years ago. There's supposed to be some growth in the marriage. If there's no growth in your marriage, you need to check it out and see what's up.
And it starts with you.
See what's up.
There should be some growth in you. You shouldn't be the same person. And certainly things that have failed in the past, why are you continuing to perpetuate those things and expect something, like my wife used to say, if you want a change to happen, you have to begin to change. And if not, a change won't happen. And don't be surprised if it doesn't, because nothing has changed. You haven't changed. Your attitude hasn't changed. Disposition hasn't changed. And so why do you expect automatically that everything going to change around you when you haven't changed a bit? Change is perpetuated by you changing.
And you can't demand that God change your spouse. And I used to do that all the time. I'm like, God, I told you. First of all, how disrespectful is that? To go to God and be like, God, I told you. You know, my husband, again, he never abused me. He never once has abused me. Probably wanted to, but never. He never has. I like that you laughed at that. Never has he physically abused me. He's never said nastiness to me, like called me anything. And as you can see, I have gained a lot of weight since we got married. I was like this big when we got married. I was really skinny, and now I'm not. And he doesn't call me fat. He doesn't call me, you know, any derogatory. He doesn't say anything about how I look now. I'm more hard on myself than he would ever be. He doesn't, you know, he could call me all kind of names, but he doesn't. I think he likes me fluffy. Let me call myself fluffy. It's fluffy. So I think he likes me, you know, like this. I'm not particularly happy about it, but it is what it is.
But I understand it, because I understand that her condition also allows for it. Yes, she's not a bad eater, because I fix good meals, and she does too. We're both good cooks, so we're gonna eat, you know. But to me, I didn't marry you because you were thin or that you were heavy. It's not about that. It was about you. So, you know, love is not, once again, it's not conditional. It's not as long as you fit my mold, and therefore, you know, I'm going to love you as long as you fit this certain mold. As far as I'm concerned, there was no mold. There was no, you can be too thin, too fat, too this or that. It doesn't matter to me. It didn't matter to me then. It doesn't matter to me now. Whatever you're comfortable with, then I'm comfortable with it.
But I don't think he would have chosen me if I was ugly when I was skinny.
I don't know. I mean, I've never looked at things like that. I really haven't. You should know, because you know a little bit of my past. You know, I didn't really look at things. I don't look. Well, first of all, once again, my own history. People judge me because of how I looked, how I walked, and all. Well, so how would I always believe this? How would I dare judge someone's looks and how someone appears when I was ridiculed and made to cry and made to feel bad and made to feel inferior and made to feel worthless because people laughed and joked and mocked and made fun of me and knocked me down? Why would I then want to knock anybody else down? I've always been the advocate of the underdog, and she knows it. I've always been. We've been in churches, and the people that have mental challenges, I don't mean developmental, I mean mental, a little paranoid, a little schizophrenic, whatever. they gravitate to me, and I gravitate to them.
Yes, Lord, they sure do.
And I love them. I love them. I don't see them as being any different than anybody else. So, you know, that's just who I am. I don't judge that. When I was a little boy, there was a little boy that used to come in dirty and scuffy, and the teacher told the class, he said, I want you to not talk to him ever. And I said, what is this? Because he's dirty? He's a little boy. We were in elementary school together, even though we're not even in high school, elementary school. And so I would talk to him, and she punished me and him. We had to stay in. We couldn't go to the recess and all this type of thing. I believe that people are people. You respect people for who they are.
Okay, on that note, we're going to stop the video. This is part 1, but we're going to continue on part 2. So we'll be right back.
Amen.